Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of EMERJ TV. Talking to a longtime friend of mine, Gerald McBride. Some of you might recognize the name from 92.3, Saturday night, old school, stuff like that. But welcome to the podcast.
Well, Reggie, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So let's get right to it. Just a conversation about our careers and stuff like that. But what I want to know is, you started out in radio.
I did.
Now, how did you, give me that, how did you get started?
Well, actually, I started in high school. And but to really kind of go back a little bit further than that, I just kind of grew up listening to the radio all my life, man. My mother just kept the radio on all the time. You remember those big hi-fis that you used to have, man? My mother had one in the dining room, man, and she just kept it on, man. So when we woke up in the morning, man, we were listening to WJLB, and I grew up listening to people like Al Perkins and Claude Young, the big soul rocker, and Donnie Simpson. And every day at 12 o'clock, my mother would listen to Martha Jean the Queen. I know you got to be old enough to remember her.
Yeah,
but
I remember.
She would come on at 12 o'clock every day, and my mother would just sit there at the table and listen to Inspiration Time, man, with Martha Jean the Queen, and we could not interrupt her, man. So she was really into the radio, you know, and back then, I mean, if you really wanted to know what was going on, I mean, radio was it. I mean, there was, it was more, even in the black community, radio was just so very, very important.
Right.
So by the time I got to high school, I got into a program at WJLB called Soul Tune Reporters.
I remember that.
Yeah, and each week, everybody from a particular school in the Metro Detroit area got a chance to do a report about what was happening at their school. And mine was Mumford. I was going to Mumford at the time. And the program was headed by Donnie Simpson. And Donnie used to record us, and we get a chance to sit in the studio with him. And then one day he invited me to sit in on his radio show. And once I saw that, I was like, this is it. But just even as a teenager, you know, having the opportunity to hear myself on the radio, I just knew that's what I wanted to do in life.
Now, did you have the voice that you have now?
You know, I used to try to make my voice sound like this, and then one day it got stuck. But yeah, so you know, from Mumford High School, I went on to go to Speck Howard School of Broadcasting. Yeah. So I graduated out of Speck Howard School of Broadcasting expecting to get a job in radio, and then I ended up getting a job in a carpet store, cleaning toilets and rolling up carpet. And I thought, wow, wait a minute, this is a lot tougher than I thought in getting into the broadcast field. But Speck Howard's had a placement service, and a guy by the name of Dick Kernan, who would head up recruitment and help people get jobs. Right. And so I would reach out to him, and he would send me on these different interviews, and I kept getting turned down, Reggie. It was, you know, I was thinking, I'm never going to get my break. And then finally, he sends my tape to a guy in Flint, Michigan. Yeah. And a guy named Greg Jones heard my tape and says, man, I love your tape. He says, how would you like a job here in Flint on Saturday afternoons? I got a part-time shift for you from 3 to 6. You interested? I said, are you kidding? Yes. Yeah. I've been waiting on this all my life. So anyway, I take this job. And they wanted me to do an orientation before I started my on-air shift for that Saturday. And the carpet store, thank God, they allowed me to take a leave of absence because I had to go up there Monday through Friday before my shift. And back then, you know, in the late 70s, radio stations had these boards and all of these knobs and turntables and cart machines. It wasn't like it is today where a computer pretty much runs everything. So you had to learn and understand what each knob operated, which switch operated what, you know, how to cue up records, the format, what to say, what not to say. I mean, it was just a list of things that I had to learn before I went on the air, just for this little shift that I was going to do from 3 to 6 in the afternoon. And so I sat in with a guy, drove from Detroit all the way to Flint, Monday through Friday, and sat in with this guy, and he showed me everything that I needed to know.
And see, that's one of those, you do whatever it takes to
oh,
get
absolutely.
into. So it didn't matter, driving to Flint or whatever.
I have been waiting on this all my life. I was so excited just to be in the studio, to be in a radio station, and anticipating this, my first time being on the radio.
Right.
So anyway, Saturday rolls around, and I'll never forget standing in the studio, and the guy that was on before me, and he says, up next is Gerald McBride. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. I cannot believe I'm finally getting my shot on the radio.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember sitting down there at the console, and the other disc jockey walks out, and I'm in there all alone, and I just start to think, man, the whole world is listening to me right now. And I start to get nervous, and I'm like, and I'm shaking, man. I go to start my record. I put my record on and get ready to start it, man. And I turn on the mic, and at the top of the hour, I was supposed to say WAMM Flint. I mean, at the top of the hour, you always had to do station ID. And I was all ready to do that. And I go to hit my record, and I knock the arm off the record, and it goes scream over the air. And the program director runs into the studio and says, "You're fired. What are you doing?" And kicks me out of the station before I could say my first words on the radio. And that's how my career started.
Well, but see, now, and what I was thinking about while you were talking, I've been trying to remember how you and I met. I don't know if we met at Word of Faith or before.
Yeah, probably, I think it was at Word of Faith.
What was funny was I was doing videos for Ford.
Right.
And I thought, well, Gerald, he's got a good voice. I said, I'll hire him to do a voiceover for a video.
Right, right.
So I had my studio, and you told me, well, I've got a studio at my place. And I thought to myself, no, you don't. I was like, you got a studio in your place. I said, so I had you come to my place to record. And you said, well, let me record at mine. I thought, okay, well, let me come and look and see what this guy has. Because I know, see, one thing I know you have had happen is you have had people come and tell you, I can do this, that, and the other, and I'm the best thing since sliced bread. And then when it comes time to put up or shut up, they don't put up.
Yeah,
so I was like,
absolutely.
And so, but you did the one for me, then you did the one at your place, and I thought, okay, I can drive down to his place. I'll send him the script and stuff. We kind of laughed about this earlier.
Yeah.
I was the director at Word of Faith, and you were one of the camera operators.
Right.
And I had been doing it. I had been doing professional video production since '82.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, some years later.
Right.
And so my bar is
no, I understand.
And I'm working with volunteers, but what I had to do was, and unfortunately, I call it the gray days. I had to really pull it back because when you work with volunteers, and I wanted to work with volunteers, I didn't want to hire the people that I know around town because of the language that they use and stuff like that. And I had to really pull it back, and I pulled it back as best I could. Right. But you told me you were in shell shock.
Yeah.
But Gerald, later on in our careers, I ended up working for you, and I was your assistant at the radio station. Yeah. But then later on, we did the. I came up with the idea. I said, Gerald, let's videotape you on the air. Yeah, which was cool. I remember. And some of those are on YouTube now and things like that. Yeah. I had some of them. Matter of fact, we did the spinners, and you came back from break, and It Takes a Fool was playing, but it played longer than like 30 seconds of it. Right. And I got a thing from YouTube. We'll pull this video. Right. But you've done a lot of things. Yeah. And I'm sure you met a lot of people. So, tell me about some of the experiences. What was the coolest thing you did? What is the coolest thing I've done? I've had the opportunity to do a lot of great things, but to just kind of circle back on how my voiceover career started. Once I finally got another shot to be on the radio. Yeah. Matter of fact, that particular station called me back, and I end up getting a full-time job there. Really? But one of the things that I did learn about radio is that once you got off the air, being on the air,
there were a lot of commercials to do back then. I mean, they didn't have what they call now a radio production person. Each DJ or radio personality had to do a certain amount of commercials. So when I got off the air, there were probably about 7 or 8 commercials that I had produced.
Really?
That I had to produce for all kind of different events, from clothing stores to supermarkets to carpet stores. I mean, just a little bit of everything. And so each one of us had to learn how to not just voice a spot, but produce it completely.
Really?
And adding the music to it, adding sound effects. And back then, everything was done with tape recorders and cart machines, so it was a lot harder to do than you know, today when you have you know, digital software to make these commercials. But anyway, my point is this: I really kind of learned how to do that part of the business and enjoyed that. And so much so that clients started requesting, you know, we want that guy that we heard on that commercial to do our commercial. And I thought, well, okay, well, this is something special that I have. And eventually I learned how to take advantage of that in starting a business in doing voiceovers and a company.
That's what I was about to ask you. Is that how
actually started,
VOP?
Voiceover production started from an attic at, on the east side of Detroit, and with a bunch of equipment that I had no idea how to work, but I figured it out, and it just started to grow and grow and grow, and that's how I ended up with a studio in River Place, and that continued to grow, and I had the opportunity to become the voice of many concerts, which has been very rewarding, and which I still do to this day. So we get hired by companies like AEG Live, Live Nation. So when Anita Baker goes on tour and they hire us, and she's doing 30 cities, that means we're responsible for doing the commercials for her appearing in every city, as well as TV commercials and including the artwork. So it's kind of like a full package that we do. So just so your question was, have I done anything that really stands out exciting? But I mean, we've done commercials for a little bit of everybody, so all of them have been special, from Anita Baker to Prince to Earth, Wind and Fire, Isley Brothers. We've done Barry White's tour. I've been the voice of Kevin Hart's tours for many years. Also, we've worked with Chris Tucker, Mary J. Blige, and the list just goes on and on. I think probably one of the most outstanding commercials that I've done that isn't in that list of A-list stars is probably Mr. Allen's. For some reason, people think that Mr. Allen's doing 29 or 2 for 50 is something that's really special. I don't get it, but anyway, that's probably one of my I guess locally here in Detroit, everybody knows Mr. Allen's 29 and 2 for 50.
So you've interviewed celebrities, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, through
so
my
now,
radio show.
What was the easiest one? Who's the one that stands out?
First of all, I can tell you what the hardest one was.
I was about to ask you that too.
Probably the hardest interview that I had, and it was at my first job at WJLB, and this was probably the first time I had an opportunity to interview a real famous star. And I'll never forget, Natalie Cole comes into the studio. I had been preparing all weekend for this interview that I was having with Natalie Cole, and I remember just being so nervous, like, wow, this big star. And I'll never forget her sitting down and giving me the hardest time. I mean, when you interview somebody and they barely answer your question, and it was almost like she really wasn't paying attention. But years later, I would find out that she really had a serious drug problem, and that was probably the issue why she wasn't responding the way she should have in an interview. I think my best interview in the early days was probably interviewing Roger and Zapp, and the reason being, when Roger Troutman came in, he actually sat down. I didn't know exactly why he was bringing a keyboard into the studio. And this is while I was on WJLB. And Roger Troutman and his group Zapp were kind of at their peak at the time. And he sits down with a keyboard, and then he takes a tube and sticks it in his mouth. and he begins to do the interview in the talk box, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, Roger, how you doing? Hey, Gerald, how you doing? You know? And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So he did the entire interview like that, and we would take callers and, hey, you want to say hello to Roger Troutman? And he would do the same thing to the people that were calling. Hey, how you doing? This is Roger. You know, and it was probably the coolest interview that I've ever done. I thought that was so unique. I also had the opportunity, of course, to spend time with Stevie Wonder. Stevie is just a great guy. And to sit down and talk with him, he just loves to talk. He's so friendly, loves Detroit, and just a great guy. Yeah. Just a great guy. And plus, on top of that, to be able to interview somebody who's one of my favorites as an R&B artist, we just had so much to talk about. I mean, from his days at Motown to him making songs in the key of life, and I mean, he wants to talk about everything. He talks about religion, politics, everything. So just a great person to interview. Had the opportunity to interview Barry White when he was alive. I spent some time with him. He was a little different. It was an interesting interview. I've interviewed James Brown. Don't know what he said, but it was
I know
Not
what
sure exactly what he was saying, but
and then you got to respond, oh yeah, okay, cool.
And that's exactly what I was doing. Okay, yeah. But a great guy.
So now let's jump to 92.3 because you're the Saturday Night Old School. Yeah. The way you do that radio broadcast is why it's so popular. It's not just playing songs. So how did you get to that point?
Well, the interesting thing about that, I was actually doing full time at 92.3. I was doing afternoon drive, and my business in doing voiceovers was really starting to grow. And I'll never forget being in a staff meeting and the program director saying, hey, look, I need you guys to start coming in an hour early for your shifts. I need you to do more. You know, I want you to give me 120%. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't know if I can do that because my business is taking off. And right then in that staff meeting, I remember thinking, it's time for me to make a decision. Yeah. Either I'm going to continue to be on the radio or I'm going to run my business full time. And I'll never forget, right after that meeting, I went in and talked to the program director, and I said, you know what? I don't think I can give you 120%. I'm already, you know, doing some of my work for voiceover productions while I'm on the air, and I know that's that's not fair to the radio station. Right. And I just think it's time for me to let go of the radio. And I did. And I said, but before I just let go of this full-time shift, would you allow me just to do a shift on Saturday? On the weekends, and allow me to play whatever I want to play, which is really, excuse me, which is really unusual. Yeah. For any air personality to be able to play what they want to play. I mean, you usually have to follow a format, and you know, certain songs had to be played, but they allowed me to do that, and that's how I created this oldie show that I do on Saturday night. And I started making $50 a show, and it was just a way to kind of keep myself in the business and keep a key to the radio station and, you know, just still be a part of what they were doing, but just on a part-time basis. Right. And that show began to grow and grow and grow in popularity until it turned into a syndicated show, and we're on now in 32 cities across the country playing oldies from Detroit. And I think one of the things that made it popular, of course, is the Battle of the Old School. Yeah, but that's not all that show is, because you have people calling in, and you have characters, and what I found interesting is what you do when you're not on the air. You're still taking calls. How did all that come to be? No, that's a lot of work. It is. Now you know you've seen the behind the, well, you showing behind the scenes, but no, it's just fun. I mean, part of the callers are what make the show, man. You know, and a couple of characters that I have that, like for instance, Ruby that calls. I know, that's what I was thinking about, Ruby. Ruby that calls every Saturday night, you know, and a drunk lady who gives good advice, you know. So no, it's just kind of grown into that. It's almost like a show where it kind of feels like inviting everybody over and you pull out all your old records and say, hey, you remember this, you remember that? Right. what's your favorite song off of this album? And that's what the show has become. But I'm also just very fortunate that the show has become syndicated and then we can share music that we grew up on in Detroit with people across the country. And I think, Detroit has such a strong heritage of music with Motown, just not with Motown, but you have so many great artists who have come from this city. And then on top of that, I think the variety of radio stations that we grew up listening to, other cities don't have the kind of stations that we have, like WGPR, and Electrifying Mojo, and the music that he played, and WJZZ, and 93 FM, and WJOB, and all of these great stations that we've grown accustomed to listening to.
Yeah.
We've always had a variety of music and been exposed to a variety of different music that other cities did not have.
Yeah.
So I just think I'm very fortunate to kind of share the history of Detroit music with people across the country. Yeah.
So now you have, it's you, when I was videotaping, it was you, and who
Andre
your
and Lady T.
And Lady T. So now how did that come together?
Actually, they were interns, and one day I just decided to put them on the air.
Really?
I was like, this is some good chemistry. This sounds good. I'm going to call you guys back next weekend and, call you back next weekend and put you on the air and let you be a part of the show. And they become a part of it ever since. And on top of that, we just have become great friends. But we all love old school music. All three of us just really love old school music that really makes for a great show.
My first experience with listening to you was I was driving. I said, Gerald has a radio show on Saturday. Sharon and I, we were riding. I said, Gerald has a show on, and I put it on, and it was music that I grew up with, in the early. And
but the amazing thing about that music, Reggie, that I'm playing, and I'm amazed at this too, is that most of the songs we're playing are almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
But it's just something about a song like For the Love of You by the Isley Brothers that you never get tired of hearing. It's just one of those songs that just doesn't have any expiration date on it, and people just continue to love to hear, even young people. Beyonce just remade an old Isley Brothers song called Make Me Say It Again. Girl.
Really?
I mean, if an artist like Beyonce can take a song from 1975 from the Heat Is On album by the Isley Brothers and make it a hit, and did not change it much at all.
Yeah.
Actually, she does a duet with Ron Isley, and it sounds like the original vocals that they took it from. So no, that says a lot about music that we grew up listening to compared to music that they're listening to today.
Even before that, because I had a job working at a clothing store, and they're listening to WOMC when they were playing Burt Bacharach and all that stuff.
Right.
And the music that we listened to in the 70s, that music is standing up better than any of it.
Right.
Because my daughter she's 25 now, but I started recording my own CDs and things and playing them in the car. And I asked her, I said, is my music boring? And she said, no, it sounds good. And she was like 18, 19 years old.
Exactly.
And the music is standing up really well. Matter of fact, I was watching a commercial and they were using music from a song from the 70s.
Absolutely. You hear that all the time. You hear that all the time. Not just in commercials, but also in movies.
And movies,
and there's just something special about that era of music that we're playing. And that's probably why I'm on, all these stations across the country, because there's such a void for that music. People need to hear it and want to hear it. And to your point about having that kid listening to those songs, or your son or your daughter, it's because Mom was listening to these oldies and said, "Don't you touch my radio," while she was listening, put you in the back seat, and so that's what you sang. That's what you learned, as a kid, is Al Green and Earth, Wind and Fire and Jeffrey Osborne, because your mom was playing it, And
then too, it's a testament to the artists and to the musicians, because I'll sit there and I listen to music and I go, "There's no drum machine there. There's no rhythm track here."
Oh no, that's true.
Those are musicians.
That's true.
Playing, and then I don't know if they had much pitch correction back then.
They had none. They had none. You had to be able to sing.
Were on there, and it was,
you had to be able to sing. Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
What you do on Old School, Saturday Night Old School, is really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, the reason why I offered to come and just videotape you guys is like, well, you know what? People need to see who these guys are and see what's going on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It has off the air. It has on the air a little red light flag, and then off the air, because off the air is just as funny, if not funnier, than the on the air stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And people call in and they was like, well, you
Yeah.
know, I got 10 for Gladys Knight, and then we got 2 for Diana Ross, and things like that. And then y'all would keep them score, which I'm not going to say how y'all kept score, but Andre was saying what the tally was.
Right.
But you know, you guys were really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
When I worked for you, I would walk around going, tickets available on Ticketmaster, you know, and stuff like that.
I only say that about 20 times a day. Tickets available on Ticketmaster.
Tickets available on Ticketmaster.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Exactly.
But it has had to be fun, and it sounds like you have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And see, that's the thing. If it was just kind of dry, you know, and you know, Lady T says a little bit, you know, every now and then, and you chime in, but you bring your audience is part of your radio.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about the audience.
It's not just you a DJ. It's the people that are listening to it.
They are part of it.
Become part of the.
That's why we call it the Old School House Party.
And then you have the battle.
Right.
And then, you know, and people get to vote. It's a pretty good process.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have fun doing it.
I tell you, you know, our experience when I was your director and you were a camera operator. Again, you know, I had a standard and I had to pull back. So I'm apologizing to you.
You don't have to. This is an inside joke that he's telling right now. This is just a little inside joke.
But the thing about it is you know, you guys, the crew, and I'll say this too, regardless to whether I pushed hard or not, our crew, we had people calling asking how we did things, if we were editing things and post and stuff like that. And I was like, no, we do it all live, you know.
Yeah.
But you stepped up and you know, you were a pretty good camera operator. You know, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If I didn't pull you off the camera, then apparently you were good enough to run it.
Well, thank you.
See, so I never said, well, Gerald, just give the headphone to the grip and grip for him. See, that's when you know.
You
couldn't cut it.
Right.
But I appreciated the effort, though. I mean, you tried, and you know, and then after a while, you pretty much gave up on being a camera operator.
I did.
But yeah, this has been a good relationship, and I want to talk to you about some other things in our next episode, because now we're going to get into your motion picture career and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So what I like to say to everybody, if you want to come on and have a conversation, you can reach out to me at emerjtv@gmail.com. That's EMERJ.TV@gmail.com. You can catch the full episodes on my YouTube channel. Go to RCSMG LLC. You'll see this one along with all the other podcast conversations I've done. I'm also producing videos on TikTok. It's hashtag EMERJ TV, EMERJ TV, or hashtag RCS Media Group, or hashtag Conversations. Hopefully you'll subscribe and tell your friends about it. Gerald, we'll be talking again in a few minutes. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.